Hi everyone, I'm Shelly and you're watching There's No Place Like Home. Before I get started, I just wanted to remind you that if you would like to leave a comment, you will have to do so on my YouTube community page because YouTube disables my comments. And I also ask that you would like, share, and subscribe. Happy New Year, everyone. I just wanted to thank everyone who has offered well wishes and prayers at the passing of my sister on New Year's Day. And I also wanted to say thank you to everyone who also offered prayer back in September when my brother passed away. I don't know that I ever actually publicly thanked you for it, but your encouragement really does bring me so much peace. Anyway, so I just figured that I would do a short video today, and I wanted to talk about a pitfall that a lot of us parents face. Whether we are homeschooling parents or not homeschooling parents, it doesn't seem to matter. There's one thing that we need to remember. There's more than one kind of smart. Before I get started, I just want to point out my three youngest daughters have their dogs on the kitchen table. They wanted to leave them there to be in my video, and they wanted to make sure that I pointed them out to you, so there they are. Anyway, so there's something that we as parents often do with our children. We always want our children to be known as those smart kids, and we look up to that type of smart. But unfortunately, society looks at smart in only one way, it seems. The way that includes what we would call school smarts, memorizing things, doing well on tests, probably really excelling at math. And of course, these are really excellent skills to have, but not all children excel in those areas, but it does not mean that they are not intelligent. And we really do our children a disservice when we don't recognize the many ways that they can be smart that just might not look good on a test or might not look good to society's eyes. So I've actually been looking into this, and there are, well, depending on who you ask, if you Google this, some people say there are 3 types of intelligence, others 7, others 9, and others 12 types of intelligence. And, you know, I'm not going to get into the 12 or the 9 or even the 7 types of intelligence, although I did find a really good article on the 7 types of intelligences that really explains it well. I'm going to stick to the 3 types of intelligence today just because I think that they really do encompass much of what we kind of miss in our children. Because, yeah, sometimes our children can really begin to feel as if they are letting us down when they are not excelling in those academic areas that we so want them to. And in fact, as homeschooling parents, a lot of parents will homeschool their children because they do want to produce prodigies. They do want to have genius children. And yes, I'm going to say it again, there are children who do well in these areas. But if our own children do not, that does not mean that they do not have any talents. And we need to start recognizing the things that our children are good at. Just because they aren't, good at what society deems as important. Because let me just tell you, doing well on a test really doesn't translate very well into being an adult. I was one of those kids who did well on tests. I was one of those kids who was really good at memorizing things, who was really good at getting along with the teacher, turning in my assignments on time. And I'll tell you that it took me years after school to learn to think for myself because I was so used to doing things to please the teachers that as an adult, I didn't know what to do with myself when I didn't have people telling me what to do all the time. On the other hand, my husband, he hated school. He used to skip school as a child, and he didn't really do well because a lot of times he wasn't there. But now as an adult, my husband is one of those people who can figure anything out. He can fix anything, and he really is a jack of all trades. And so what he learned through life that I missed somehow, he is able to manage to do so many more things than I could, with my academic smarts that so many people hope that their own children have. So first of all, we're going to look at Sternberg's theory. And Sternberg's theory is that there are 3 types of intelligence. And they're really simple. One of them is practical, one of them is creative, and one of them is analytical. So I just happen to have examples, including mine and my husband's, to include in this, just to give you an idea of what they are. So first of all, there is practical. I mentioned my husband. He wasn't one of those kids who was book smart. He had no interest in reading books. He still doesn't really like reading books all that much. He wasn't interested in school. He was not one of those ideal students. And yeah, a lot of parents would probably be disappointed if they had a child who performed in school the way that he did. Yet, here he is as an adult. My husband can figure anything out, whether it comes to things around the house, whether it comes to computers, phones, bikes, cars. He's good at fishing. I mean, anything that you could mention, even if he never did it before, if you would sit him down and he would look at it for long enough, he would figure it out. That is practical intelligence. If your child has practical intelligence, I assure you, it is going to help them later on down the line. So the next type of intelligence is creative intelligence. Creative intelligence is, well, quite obviously, those creative areas. So music, art, sometimes acting. So I have my oldest daughter. She is one of the people who is creatively intelligent. Right now she is, she does art, and she makes commissions for art pieces that she draws digitally. And so that is an area that, growing up, she was that child that, at 5, her artwork was chosen to be hung in an art show at the art museum, and she was always drawing. She always had some sort of sketchbook. And while she did do well in school, she was an honors student. So I've got to say that she was intelligent in that way also, but she really wasn't interested in that stuff. All she wanted to do was draw. And so a lot of parents, if they would look at their child and all they wanted to do was read, a lot of parents would be thrilled with that. If people have children who all they want to do is sit and practice their math problems, well, yes, they're going to be excited about that. But a lot of parents, if their child just wants to sit and draw all the time, they won't see the value in that, and they will think that their child is wasting their time on fanciful things, when in fact, that really is a type of creative intelligence. So all of the time that my daughter spent drawing all the time, if you hear the yelling, it's my neighbor. My walls are so thin, and this is why I don't do live streams. Anyway, so all the time that my daughter spent drawing throughout the years really paid off, because here she is, and she is able to earn a living doing something that she loves. Creative intelligence has as much value as the type of academic intelligence. And then lastly, there is analytical intelligence. And this is the type of intelligence that I would probably identify myself most as being, is that you are able to look at things, and you are able to kind of look at different points of views on different things, and you are able to put 2 and 2 together and just make conclusions based on those things. You spend a lot of time thinking. You might spend a lot of time reading. You spend a lot of time figuring things out, pondering things. That is analytical intelligence. But I'll tell you that the types of intelligence really go far beyond that. There is body intelligence. Those are people who are really good at sports, have really great fine and gross motor skills. And I was reading about them, and a lot of times, obviously, they will go into sports, but some of them will even go into medicine because they are so in tune with their body. There is intrapersonal intelligence, which is, if I'm thinking correctly, if I'm remembering correctly, people who really know themselves, are really in tune with their own feelings. There is interpersonal intelligence, people who really know how to get along with others, who can tell when someone might be sad, who might be upset. I can't even remember all of them. One of them is, I think, literary intelligence, people who are good with their words and will often go into something like public speaking. And again, the reason that I'm bringing all of these things up to you is because don't shortchange your child just because they're not smart in the things that you want them to be. Because chances are your child is smart in ways that you might not have even noticed because you're too busy looking at the other things. And what we really need to do is we need to meet our kids where they're at, and we need to support them and encourage them and help them to figure out how they can take those talents and how they can shape them for their future. That's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram because YouTube disables my comments. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.